I think, the work is something that I really do enjoy. That's before practice, after practice, getting extra shots. I think it's, believing that these shots will show themselves in games. And last second chances. There were a few possessions where I had the ball with 2 seconds left and threw in a shot. And yes, it's a wild shot, but I think it's those extra reps that really help make those go in.
How much pride do you take in what you guys were able to accomplish?
I think we can look at the season and be really happy and proud.
The Indiana Fever are at the absolute center of the sports universe, but a story is breaking right now that has absolutely nothing to do with their #1 draft pick. A shocking piece of information has just surfaced about another key player, and it's pulling back the curtain on a controversial truth the WNBA has desperately tried to keep hidden for years. This isn't just about one player's salary, it's about a deeply flawed system that could change the future of the entire league forever, and what has been revealed is truly huge. It's a revelation that has sent the WNBA community into a frenzy, sparking conversations that go far beyond the basketball court.
Clark lobbing it in. Boston draws 2 in the corner. Hull, you bet!
Lexi Hull, I am a hard worker. I pride myself on being one of the hardest workers in the gym. 2-9! Yeah, my help! Yeah, I play really hard, and I think that by watching our games, you'll see that I give everything I have, and that every game, every day I step on the court, that I try.
The player caught directly in the middle of this escalating firestorm is Lexi Hull. While the cameras and the national media swarm around the new superstars, Hull operates as the silent workhorse, the undisputed defensive backbone of the Fever who willingly takes on the toughest, most thankless assignments every single night. She embodies the kind of player every single championship team is built upon, the one who does the gritty, exhausting work that never shows up on the highlight reels. That is precisely why the recently emerged details about her contract have forced fans and analysts to ask a very uncomfortable and frankly overdue question. Is the league systematically undervaluing its most essential players?
I would say that's kind of my role.
Respectful.
That's kind of, a reason that I'm out there is to try to make an impact defensively. And I know I was undersized going against DB. And so trying to just be as active as I could, get my hands on as many balls as I could, and take advantage of that. Caitlin? Yeah. We'll be done.
Oh, Lex.
We got a team on the
Everyone soon.
This one's for Kelsey. Just kind of following.
Before she ever put on an Indiana Fever jersey, Lexi Hull was already a proven champion. Her journey to the WNBA started years before she reached the big stage, culminating at Stanford University, where she wasn't just a part of the team, she was a primary driving force behind their dominant 2021 NCAA championship victory. Throughout her college career, she meticulously built a reputation as a fierce, relentless competitor, with a winner's DNA embedded in her very approach to the game. This wasn't some long-shot prospect hoping to make a roster. This was an elite talent from a powerhouse program, a player who knew exactly what it took to win at the highest and most pressure-packed level. Her incredible pedigree is the specific reason the Fever targeted her from the beginning.
You find that balance then now, hey great, we're in, but you have an opportunity to climb a couple seats here, keep the winning going, and kind of keep this momentum going that you had in August into September?
Yeah, it's great to have it clinched, but it's not over. Like we said, we're taking every game as it comes. Really focus on the game in front of us, really focus on the game tonight against Los Angeles, and I'm just excited to see, where by the end of the regular season.
When the Indiana Fever selected Lexi as the 6th overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft, she was immediately viewed as a non-negotiable cornerstone of their long-awaited rebuild. For a franchise that had been languishing at the bottom of the league for years, her arrival instilled optimism and hope for the future. She represented a tangible shift back to a tougher, more resilient identity that the team had been missing. Her arrival was a powerful statement that the Fever were finally serious about building a competitive and sustainable roster from the ground up. She was the foundational piece, brought in to establish a new standard of effort and commitment long before the current media circus ever came to town.
This is your 3rd season in the WNBA, and this year you got to be on the court with Caitlin Clark, and you also struck up a friendship with her. Can you talk about how important it is to have that camaraderie on and off the court?
I think it was important to get to know her off the court, because I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of teams. And it's really awesome to get to know her as well, because she's a great person, but you have all these expectations put on her, and our team has put on her, and fans have put on her. So to see her kind of be so mature in that transition, it's been really awesome. And I'm just really proud to, have her on.
But the stark reality of the WNBA for a player like Lexi Hull is a brutal, unforgiving grind. Her immense value to the Indiana Fever isn't measured in jaw-dropping crossovers or flashy 30-point scoring explosions. It's measured in diving for loose balls that are already out of bounds, in relentlessly shutting down the opponent's best and most explosive scorer, and in hitting a quiet but clutch three-pointer from the corner when the team needs it the most. These are the invaluable, intangible contributions that ultimately win championships but often go completely unnoticed on the final stat sheet. And this is precisely why her contract situation has become so explosive. It forces a league-wide reckoning over how we truly measure a player's worth in an era obsessed with analytics and offensive firepower.
Whether it's coming up with a loose ball or rebound.
What makes Hull's situation even more critical to understand is her specific role as an unseen architect on the court. In basketball terminology, she is the perfect 3-and-D player, a defensive specialist who can lock down opponents on one end and reliably stretch the floor with her three-point shooting on the other. This archetype is considered one of the most valuable assets in modern basketball, a non-negotiable piece for any team with championship aspirations. Yet, the WNBA's current salary structure and public valuation metrics have not caught up to this reality. Because her contributions don't always result in high point totals or assist numbers, her impact is systematically undervalued. She is the glue that holds the team together, the engine that makes the whole operation run smoothly, but the system is designed to reward the flashy finish, not the crucial work that makes it possible.
I think I want to be known as just a really good teammate, someone that my teammates trust, that they know that I'll give everything that I have.
Now, with the franchise-altering arrivals of superstars Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, the brilliant spotlight that was beginning to find Hull has shifted dramatically and perhaps permanently. The solid foundation that Hull was brought in to help build is now being almost completely overshadowed by a new, brighter, and more marketable star power. This dynamic raises a critical and potentially divisive question about the team's long-term strategy. In the understandable rush to build an empire around their new phenoms, are the Fever's executives forgetting about the very players who were supposed to be the bedrock of this new era? The shocking details of Hull's contract may have just given us the unfortunate but clear answer.
Hull 3-on-2. Hull feeds to Clark. Right back for Lexi Hull, who buries the three. She's locked in.
The information that has sent shockwaves through the WNBA community isn't some complicated hidden clause in her contract. It's the raw, unbelievably low number itself. Lexi Hull's rookie scale contract, which is standard for her draft position under the league's collective bargaining agreement, started at just over $70,000 a year. For a world-class professional athlete who is a top 6 draft pick from a championship program, that number is staggering and to many insulting. It's a figure that rips the curtain back and exposes the harsh, unsustainable financial reality for the vast majority of WNBA players. A reality that the league's explosive, unprecedented growth is now bringing into the harsh, unavoidable light of day.
I think it's really exciting. I know coming into this season we had higher expectations with, the rookie we brought in, so we didn't know what that was going to come with. We didn't know exactly how the fans would react, but it exceeded our expectations, I think, especially comparing it to the first half of our season now, heading into, our last game and heading into the playoffs. It's just, I feel like we have a lot of momentum, and we're just really excited to see where we are today.
Did you know Caitlin before she came here?
No, I just saw her. I watched her play obviously a bunch and didn't know what she'd be like, and just, really happy she's here.
To truly grasp how jarring and inadequate that number is, you absolutely have to look at the bigger picture. That salary is a minuscule fraction of what a veteran superstar in the WNBA makes, and it's practically a rounding error compared to what even an end-of-the-bench player in the NBA earns. This isn't just a simple wage gap, it's a gaping, cavernous canyon that speaks to a much larger systemic issue. Lexi Hull's situation perfectly and painfully illustrates the financial tightrope that WNBA players are forced to walk, especially dedicated role players whose contributions are undeniably vital to winning, but are not always easily quantifiable by traditional statistics.
It's having a tough assignment on a perimeter. It's getting tips and deflections. Right here, another tip, another deflection, which results in a turnover. That's Lexi Hull.
You have to consider the immense mental toll this situation can take. Imagine being one of the best 4x4 basketball players on the entire planet, dedicating your entire life to your craft, only to see your compensation debated publicly as being insufficient. This creates a constant underlying pressure to justify your existence on the court. Every missed shot, every defensive lapse is magnified, not just by coaches, but by a public that is now hyper aware of your financial standing. It can lead to players playing hero ball to inflate their stats, rather than making the smart, team-oriented plays that actually win games. The psychological burden is an invisible injury that many of these athletes carry, knowing that their financial security hangs precariously in the balance of a system that may not fully value them.
The TSA messaging is all Lexi Hull.
Knocks down a tough shot on the other end. Here's Clark. Boston, extra pass. Lexi Hull buries it from the sisters. Thomas knocks it away. Lexi Hull has to fire and one.
This entire explosive debate was thrown into overdrive with the arrival of one singular person, Caitlin Clark. When the entire world discovered that the most electrifying and marketable college athlete in a generation would earn just $76,000 in her rookie season, it sparked a national firestorm that transcended sports. Clark's contract single-handedly pulled the curtain back on the league's entire pay scale, and now, as a direct consequence, every single player's contract, including Lexi Hull's, is being examined and scrutinized under this new, intensely powerful microscope. In a strange twist of fate, Hull has unwillingly become a prominent case study for a league-wide problem that can no longer be ignored. But the blame here may not lie solely with the Indiana Fever. The true villain of this story, if there is one, is the WNBA's brutally restrictive and outdated salary cap. The league's collective bargaining agreement, or CBA, effectively ties the hands of every single team, forcing them to spread a very limited and insufficient amount of money across an entire roster of elite athletes. It creates a rigid system where teams simply cannot afford to pay their developing high-impact role players what they might truly be worth in a free market, pushing many of these incredible athletes to play overseas during the off-season just to make a living wage. This begs the question, is this a system that was built to fail its own players? The WNBA CBA was negotiated years ago in a completely different media and financial landscape. It was designed for stability and parity in a league that was still fighting for its footing. However, the league's growth in recent years has been exponential, far outpacing the rigid financial structures put in place. The current CBA was not designed for a world with billion-dollar media deals and players who are global icons. As a result, the very document meant to protect the league is now actively stifling the earning potential of its players and creating controversies like the one surrounding Lexi Hull.
Second half, misses that one. Hull gives the Fever another chance, penetrating, driving, and hitting her.
This puts the Indiana Fever's management in an incredibly difficult position, caught directly in the crossfire. On one hand, they have to abide by the strict rules of the CBA. On the other, they are facing immense public pressure to do right by their players, especially foundational pieces like Hull. They are tasked with building a winning culture and keeping morale high, all while navigating a financial minefield. Do they allocate future cap space to reward a player like Hull, potentially at the expense of signing another star? Or do they stick to a cold, calculated, numbers-based approach and risk alienating a key part of their team's identity? There are no easy answers, and every move they make is now being watched by the entire world.
Obviously, Lexi's been tremendous, especially on the defensive end. She just brings a spark and a tenacity about her that, maybe we weren't always getting on the defensive end, and she's just willing to do whatever it takes for this team, and it's helped our defense improve a lot. So I think offensively and defensively, we've taken a step forward, and that's kind of what the coaches challenged us in going into that break.
The public outcry from this leak has been deafening and widespread. Fans across social media platforms are expressing genuine shock and outrage, not just for Lexi Hull, but for all the players who find themselves in her position. This has inadvertently put an immense amount of pressure on Lexi to perform at an even higher level. Every single second she's on the court, she is now being judged against the heavy backdrop of this contract controversy. She has been thrust into a position where she has to constantly prove her value, not just to her team and its management, but to a global audience that is now watching and fiercely debating whether she has been treated fairly. This all leads to the million-dollar question for the future. Lexi Hull's rookie contract will eventually end and she will enter negotiations for her second deal. What will the league's financial landscape look like then? Will the next CBA negotiation, spurred by the public outcry from the contracts of players like Hull and Clark, lead to a massive increase in the salary cap and player revenue share? Or will the change be incremental, leaving another generation of essential role players fighting for financial security? Lexi Hull's next contract won't just be a reflection of her performance. It will be a referendum on the WNBA's ability to evolve and meet the demands of its newfound superstardom. In the end, Lexi Hull's contract situation is far more than a simple leak of private information. It has become a powerful flashpoint for the entire WNBA. The league is growing faster and more popular than ever before, but this story reveals that the growing pains are becoming impossible to ignore. It leaves us all with one massive lingering question that will define the next decade of women's pressure basketball. As the WNBA skyrockets into a new stratosphere of popularity and revenue, will the financial structures evolve with it? Or will the essential hard-working players like Lexi Hull, the very heart and soul of the game, be the ones left behind in the gold rush?